Were the progressive reformers successful or not? Did they continue or end in World War I? These are some of the questions to ponder. Here, you will see the square deal, the jungle, muckrakers, espionage and sedition acts, and many more. Hi, I'm Lynn, your online U.S. history teacher, and today we are going to cover chapters 21 and 22, the Progressive Era and World War I. So come on and join me. Hi, U.S. history students. Welcome to another review session brought to you by Lynx Education. This is Lynn, your online U.S. history teacher. So today we're going to cover chapters 21 and 22. Come on and join me. And as usual, we have the millionaire game for this review session. And we'll start with the first question worth $100. The main purpose of initiative, referendum, and recall was to A. Reduce federal control over local government, B. Enlarge citizens' control over state and local governments, C. Stimulate economic growth, D. Restore the balance between state and federal power. So obviously the purpose of these three was to have the citizens be active when it comes to the government's legislation and other political concerns. So we are going to choose B for that, the enlarged citizens' control over state and local government. So you have to be aware of these three key terms. Alright, so we have now the next question worth $200. The Niagara Movement, founded in 1905 by W.E.B. Du Bois, fought for A. Cheaper electricity in the streets St. Lawrence Upper New York region, B. Greater public involvement in the electricity monopoly, C. Women's suffrage, D. Universal suffrage and civil rights for African Americans. And there's no doubt W.E.B. Du Bois was very important for the movement that would help change status of African Americans, so that should be D. Let's look at the next question. The income tax amendment to the Constitution adopted in 1913, A. Recovered revenue lost by reducing the tariff, B. Applied the same tax rate to all incomes, C. Redistributed wealth from the rich to the poor, D. Paid for social welfare programs of the Wilson administration. And basically before 1913, the main source of federal revenue was the form of tariff. So after the income tax was passed, this A. Recovered revenue lost by reducing the tariff tax. So the answer is A. And moving on to the question worth $1,000. Which of the following does not correctly describe progressives? They were with the social and economic conditions of the city. They adopted, or rather advocated, a more orderly and efficient society. C. They called for a stronger state and federal government. And D. They represented farmers and the working class. And the progressives, they're not farmers, so we are picking D. This is not describing the progressive reformers. Let's move now to the next question. Which statement describes both the square deal and the new freedom? A. They were the legislative programs of reforming presidents. B. They stressed the importance of conservation. C. They were chiefly supported by Republicans. And D. They included only political and legal reforms, not economic reforms. So, the commonality for the Square Deal and the New Freedom is that both of them were programs from the reforming presidents. One from a Republican president, Square Deal, that's with Theodore Roosevelt, and the New Freedom with Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat. So that's why we're not picking this one. Of course, this is wrong. They were chiefly supported by Republicans. So the answer here is A. And let's look at the next question. Is it easy or difficult? Let's find out. Which of the following was, in large part, a consequence of Upton Sinclair's 1906 book, The Jungle? So A. President Theodore Roosevelt supported passage of the Meat Inspection Act. B. Drug manufacturers agreed to stop selling impure merchandise. C. Railroad rate making was taken out of the hands of the railroad industry. Let's pause this. And put into the hands of the ICC, that's the Interstate Commerce Commission. D. President Roosevelt supported legislation to guarantee the rights of workers to bargain collectively. So, the consequence of that was Theodore Roosevelt asking the Congress to pass the Meat Inspection Act, this one. So that's A. Alright, now we're almost way half through, and let's see what's this question about muckrakers. On which company did muckraker Ida Tarbell pen an enormous and influential study? Is it A. U.S. Steel, B. General Electric, C. Insull Utilities, or D. Standard Oil? So that's the company of John D. Rockefeller, the Standard Oil. That previous question was easy. So, Germany's notorious Zimmermann telegram, A. promised a temporary halt to submarine warfare, apologized for the sinking of the Lusitania. C. Rejected the U.S. efforts for a truce in the fighting. D. Proposed an alliance with Mexico if the United States declared war on Germany. So that's the alliance with Mexico. Yes. Alright. So Woodrow Wilson failed to obtain ratification of the Versailles Treaty. Made too many compromises with the Republican opposition. Was unwilling to make any compromise with Senator Henry Cobb Lodge. The Republican senators wanted a stronger League of Nations. He was unwilling to publicly campaign for the treaty. And the answer is B. He was unwilling to compromise with the Republicans. So let's look at this. Worth $100,000. Yeah, hey. During World War I, thousands of blacks moved north because the best paid jobs were located in the industrialized north. They would be better protected by northern anti-lynching laws. C. Northern cities had finally started to desegregate. Southerners finally allowed them to leave. And that is so obvious because of the wartime mobilization, and most of the factories were located in the north. Our answer is A. Right, down to the last three questions. Under the Espionage and Sedition Acts of 1917 to 1918, criticism of government leaders or war policies was the crime. There were 25 persecutions and 10 convictions. See, speaking and writing against Germany and Italy was a crime. Censorship was aimed more at Middle America than at socialists or other radicals. So our answer is A. It was made to stop those people who were criticizing the president and the government, so to aid the U.S. support for the war. Sorry about that. Let's just go back there. I just kind of late to press the hyperlink here. So there you go. Who wrote the 1906 novel The Jungle? Helped to mobilize public opinion behind the Meat Inspection Act. A. Upton Sinclair, C. Alice Paul, D. J.P. Morgan. That's Upton Sinclair. B. Okay, this is the last question. From 1914 to 1916, as World War I raged in Europe, Americans were not able to remain thought as well as action, mainly because a United States membership in military alliances required the nation to fight. B. The United States newspapers encouraged a policy of imperialist expansion. C. The warring powers interfered with the United States' right to freedom of the seas. Or D. President Woodrow Wilson supported the war aims of Germany and Austria-Hungary. So, in World War I, the problem was the unrestricted submarine warfare of the Germans, and we are going to choose C here. The warring powers interfered with the United States' right to freedom of the seas. Okay, and that's our answer. There you go. So we won again, yay! Make sure, guys, that you are reviewing consistently in order to answer most of our questions. And if you feel that we're running through the questions very quickly, you feel free to pause it. And I hope that you learned something today. Don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel, Lynx Education. I'll see you guys in the next review session. Bye!